Tonight we are celebrating 5 years of the Latino Lorain History Project. This video showcases the incredible journey over the past 5 years. Through stories, events, and community engagement, we've worked to preserve and celebrate the rich cultural heritage and contribution of Lorain's Latino community. Join us as we reflect on our achievements and look towards the future. The origin for this public history collaboration began with a meeting between the Lorain Historical Society and El Centro, all beginning as a mutual desire to collect Lorain's Latino history. With the addition of the Comparative American Studies Department of Oberlin College, soon after, progress continued to grow. Lorain County Community College and their Avanzando program, as well as the Lorain Public Library System, have now become valued members of the partnership. Thanks to these organizations and the many other individuals that have supported the goals of this collaboration along the way. After a little planning, the first large group meetings were held with community leaders, where over food and wine, they were invited to discuss and answer exploratory questions such as, what or how do you envision this project could look like, and what do you remember that has been done before? At another meeting, information on sticky notes was collected from those in attendance, covering people they remembered, arts, sports, and music groups, organizations and businesses, and social clubs, which were then spread out over a timeline. The results showed that the memories of the 20s, 30s, and 40s were already fading, and that starting to document the community alive today was critical. The energy in the room after these first meetings solidified the organizers' beliefs that this was important and should be continued. After the small group committee attended an oral history workshop held at Oberlin College, another large group meeting was held in February of 2020, where the plan for collecting oral histories in the community was shared. Oberlin College professor Dr. Gina Perez's Comparative American Studies course, scheduled for the fall of 2020, would allow for trained students to conduct interviews. And then, as COVID changed the world, the small group committee adapted too. Meetings were held over Zoom, and the committee created an online lesson plan and resource packet for students being taught virtually, all completed in time for Hispanic Heritage Month. Dr. Gina Perez's Comparative American Studies course adapted to the world of COVID and virtual classrooms as well. With the commitment to collect oral histories, Gina prepared her students with all the skills needed to conduct interviews and perform them over Zoom. Lorain community members also had the opportunity to audit her class and gain these same skills. This collaboration set the groundwork for the next few years for gathering oral histories in support of the Latino Lorain History Project. In almost all of the interviews conducted by Gina's class with the elders from the community, one thread of history was referenced repeatedly: Vine Avenue. Although touched only briefly during the interviews, the snippets of memory scattered throughout the stories revealed to the small group committee that the memory of Vine Avenue was a history threatened to be lost to time if not collected while those still living could share their story. A grant was written to the Ohio History Fund to fund an intern to specifically capture interviews from folks who remembered Vine Avenue, with funding for an exhibit to shed light on this story. Large group committee meetings continued to be held over 2021 to ensure that the community had input on the exhibit and that the themes identified around Vine Avenue were well presented. The grand opening of the Celebrating 100 Years of Latino History in Lorain Vine Avenue exhibit opened in September of 2021. One of the goals for the project was not only to tell the story in the community's own words with direct quotes from those interviewed that remembered Vine, but also to create an avenue in the community for those who did remember Vine to connect with younger generations born after Vine's destruction by urban renewal, to ensure the legacy of Vine Avenue could continue in the community. I'll quote the late Cel Rivera, whose memory of Vine is the first line you read as you enter the exhibit. "It was so full of life. I mean, there were people talking all the time, and you would hear Spanish music out loud coming from the apartments upstairs of the businesses. And there would be people on the streets, and there would be yelling back and forth. It was nothing to see people putting out lawn chairs and tables and grilling, and then you would they would offer you food as you went by. It was just exciting. It was all contained within about 4 blocks. It reminded me of what I envisioned a New York neighborhood being like in the Bronx. In 2022, the exhibit was issued an History Outreach Award from the Ohio Local History Alliance as an outstanding contribution to the field of local history in Ohio in the category of exhibits and displays. Throughout the year, the exhibit traveled around Lorain County. Not one to rest on their laurels, the Latino Lorain History Project continued to look towards the future. Members of the Ohio Hispanic Veterans Monument, spearheaded at the time by Sel Rivera, introduced their efforts to create a new Veterans Monument in Oakwood Park, commemorating all of Lorain and Ohio's Latino veterans killed in action. A collaboration was formed to interview Latino Lorain veterans and create an outdoor exhibit to supplement the future Hispanic Veterans Monument in Oakwood Park. The original monument to Hispanic veterans placed in the park in the 1980s, pictured here, would be connected to the new monument on 57 by an outdoor exhibit story walk. The collaboration with Oberlin College continued, and with the support of an Ohio History Service Corps AmeriCorps member, a series of oral history days were scheduled where the Latino veterans being interviewed would gather in the same building to meet and bond with one another prior to and following their interview. It created a moving experience for the veterans to feel understood and connected to the greater goals of creating this exhibit. Oberlin College students were trained and prepared to interview veterans, and scanning of photographs and information related to their service were collected to be included with the exhibit. As the idea for an outdoor exhibit took shape, a series of focus groups with Latino veterans were held in 2022 and 23 to identify the goals for the exhibit. Who is this exhibit for? The exhibit is for the friends of family veterans to make the unknown known and shed light on the military experience from the perspective of the veterans themselves. All of the findings of the focus groups were shared with the large group events to ensure that what was being planned for the project was given the appropriate representation and sensitivity to represent the complex nature of the military experience. All of this leading up to the grand opening of the Latino Veterans Story Walk outdoor exhibit in September 2023 at Oakwood Park. The Lorain High School ROTC presented the colors with speeches made by Mayor Jack Bradley and then 6th Ward Councilperson Ray Carrion. While the Story Walk posts were installed throughout Oakwood Park, LCCC's Avanzando students helped carry the exhibit poster boards in the ceremony space. Later that year, a large group meeting was held so that veterans who were interviewed could share their experience with their family in a personal setting and celebrate their contributions to the Veterans Story Walk. Another milestone in 2023 was the Lorain Historical Society's changing their artifact database to Catalog It. Catalog It gives the organization the ability to share the history that has been gathered by the community to document Lorain's Latino history into a database viewable and accessible online for everyone to enjoy. As of today, in 2024, the Vine Avenue exhibit can be found traveling around Lorain County, with opportunities to be booked for special occasions. And the Latino Lorain Veterans Story Walk is still being enjoyed in Oakwood Park. Both exhibits can be accessed online through the Lorain Historical Society's website for those who are unable to see the exhibits in person. The small group committee has also helped coordinate dates for celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month by creating a community calendar of events. Thank you to our sponsors, whose funding has made this project possible, and a special thank you to the generosity of Lorain's Latino community. To date, we are very proud to share that we have recorded over 60 oral history interviews. The Vine Avenue exhibit has traveled to 15 different locations, and nearly 300 archival documents and photographs have been scanned and added to the historical record for researchers and the community to enjoy. As we conclude this 5-year journey, we remain committed to preserving the stories, culture, and contributions of Lorain's Latino community. This project is not just about history. It's about building connections, fostering pride, and ensuring that the future generations can continue to celebrate and share their heritage. Thank you for being a part of this important work, and we look forward to the next chapter of the Latino Lorain History Project.